Okay, once you log in, this is what you'll see. You have your available, your open, submitted, so forth and so on. Alright. What you want to do is you want to click on user reports. Then you'll have your choice between your service report and measuring device report. We're going to click on measuring device. Today we're going to be doing vehicle skill test report. Depends on if you have a vehicle skill license if you'll see this or not. So you click on it and you're going to have three choices. Your standard vehicle test report, that's your standard truck report where you're using your test truck to run the sections. You have another one that's called vehicle test report using certified test weights. That's like using a weight buggy, or if you're putting test weights on each section. Or then you have your special vehicle test report, which we'll go into a little bit later. But today we're doing the standard vehicle test report. I'm going to click on it. It's going to give me my information, and then I'm going to click begin. Okay. Now it's going to, if you notice, these two screens are different from each other. I can come over here and I can click on this and that and see how it operates, but when I say begin, this doesn't change. There'll be times that they react together and then times that they won't. So just understand that they sort of operate as two, but when we get done and go into the report, it'll go back to a one screen. You want to tap and select your location. I've got a location made up here for this place, 40613, and I'll hit search and it brings up my location. Okay, say for instance you want to search by the location address. It's sort of like what we call a Google search. It'll search everything with these numbers or letters in them. So my location address is called somewhere lane. So I'm going to type in somewhere and I'm going to hit search, and of course it'll bring up everything that's got 100 or somewhere in it. And of course the first one had 100 and somewhere in it, so it put it first. Click on it. The next one is going to be the form name. Just like in the old ways when you had the PDFs, you can name your form, you can do the same thing here. So I'm just going to call this reg for regular truck, T-R-U-C-K, because we're doing the standard or regular truck report. Next is going to be your date. It'll automatically come up to whatever date today's date is. You want to make sure that you use the date that the inspection was actually performed, that date there. So I'll come over here and click open, and then it's going to bring up my test report screen where I can go ahead and start filling out my report. I have two options. I can click on the X and I can say save and close, and it'll save it in my open folder. I can say discard and it'll completely wipe it all out. You won't be able to retrieve it. It's gone, deleted. Or you can hit cancel and go back. I can also come up here to the three dots and I could say submit form, which right now I can't submit the form because some of the required fields have not been filled out. But I can go to the form info and it'll tell me about the form info. You remember we named it test state regular truck? Well, there it is. That's the name of it. The location is going to give me the site ID number or the device registration number. That's very important. You need to make sure that that's posted and that the customer has a current one, because if they don't and it's expired, you won't be able to access it or upload it. And it'll also give you their address, the type of form that you're using, which is the standard. I called it regular, but it's just the standard test truck report. And then of course it talks about the description. So I go back. Then I also have another option on the three dots, is to change the title and location information. This has the same information as we did at the beginning. I can change the location, I can change the name, and I can also change the date there. Okay, so I'm gonna click save and move on. We're in the regular part. As you can see up here at the top, it's going to tell you test state regular truck. That's the name that we called it. And then it's got a little down here, I don't know if you can see it really well or not, but it's got what we call a breadcrumb trail. It's going to tell you where at in the form you are. And it says right now form, and then it says standard vehicle truck report. So this is just in the area. So the first part is the general information. I'm going to click on it, and if you'll notice, it now says form and general information. We're in the general information section of the form. Commodity weight. This is going to be what is actually weighed across the scale. I'm just going to call it dirt. You can be rock quarry, cows, scrap, whatever. It's just whatever they're weighing across that scale. All right, tested last. I'm going to click on it. This is the last time this scale was inspected. Let's say we did it a year ago in September, and the last year that it was inspected, I'll say 2017. Now, you can find this by either looking at the sticker that's on the indicator, or if you were the last one to do it, you can look in your history reports under your submitted, and I'll show you that in a minute. Or you can look at the paperwork that the customer has on site. Okay, if it's new, then you would just put today's date. Back. All right, the next one is going to be your indicator information. We're going to click on it. Make. I'm just going to call this scale manufacturer Scale Man, just to be generic. Oops. CALEMAN. Okay. Model number, I'll just call this model number 100. Okay. Serial number, blah 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 blah. You know how serial number got some numbers in there too. Okay. Nominal capacity. This is the capacity of the scale. We'll say 120,000 pounds. Okay. Section capacity. I'll say 30 tons. Okay. You can say, you know, however you want to say it, 60,000 pounds, 50,000 pounds. If you don't note what you're doing it in, whether it's tons, pounds, kilograms, we're just going to assume pounds. Graduation is going to be 20 pounds. I'm just going to put 20, and I'm going to assume that it's 20 pounds reading it. If it's in anything else, like if you're doing something that requires it to be in kgs or something, then that's where you would note it. Okay, hit back. Okay, we did the general information, we did the indicator information. Now we're going to move on to the deck information. Let's go back to the indicator information. See, I can go back and edit it at any time. Look at that, I forgot to do the type. So I'll come in here, and these are just for the indicator. I can do beam, dial, or electronic. This is a new one, so we're going to say electronic. Okay. The printer type is going to be computer, printer, computer with printer, or none. So I'm just going to say this thing's got a standard ticket printer, so I'm just going to say printer. Okay. Now I can go back, and there I go. I can come back in there. I can look at it again just to make sure I've got everything correct, and it is. So we've done general, we've done indicator. Now we're moving on to the deck. This is the deck information. The make, we'll call it a Scale Man. Let's say we're just doing a new install anyway. So we'll say Scale Man, okay? Model, we'll call this TS for truck scale 100. Okay? Serial number, blah, 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 blah. Sometimes if you're dealing with an older deck, like an old mechanical deck, that the serial number may be gone or something, you can just put NA or no serial number or something like that on there. Pit depth. This is the depth of the pit. You know, you can have some that are 4 feet, 2 feet, 10 feet, 12 feet, I don't know. But we're going to make this one an above ground, so I'm going to call this above ground. But if it wasn't a pit, this is where you would say how deep the pit. We'll just call this one a 10 by 70 deck. 10 by 70 deck, okay? Now, the type, your choices are going to be mechanical or electronic. If it's got beams underneath it, even if it's been converted and has the one load cell at the main beam, then that's still a mechanical. It's electronic if it has a load cell under each section. Okay, so this is a new one. That's going to call it electronic. Okay, condition of the pit. This one does not have a pit, so I'm going to put no pit. This is where you would say if it was full of water or dirt or need cleaning or whatever, it would be in there. Condition of the platform. This is the actual weighbridge itself, the scale. I'm going to call this good. This is where you would need to address whether if it's got dirt wedged up in there and you had to clean it out or whatever. This is where you would address that. Condition of the approaches. This is the approach coming on and off the scale. We're going to say this is good. You need to make sure that it meets all the requirements. Alright, so I've done all that. That's everything filled out for the deck information. I'm going to go back just like before. If I wanted to edit it, I can just click on it and there it is. Okay. Now, we have an increasing and decreasing test. We have two sections here. I called it increasing and decreasing load test as found, increasing and decreasing load test as left. The as found and as left will be filled out exactly the same. If you did the as found and needed to have an adjustment or do some repairs, that's where you would go in and fill out the as left. But we're just going to fill out the as found today because it's going to weigh good. So it tells you that there's no entries. To hit the plus sign in the top right corner, so I'll come over here and hit the plus sign, and then I can enter it in. Let's say I am going to do my increasing and decreasing load on section 1. Okay, there's section 1. Applied weight, we got to start with 0, so reading will be 0, 0, and then the error will be 0. Okay, so I'll hit save. Got my first entry in there, section 1. Alright, I'm going to come over here and hit the plus sign again. And I'm going to say section 1, applied weight, 4,000 pounds. Okay, my reading will be 4,000 pounds. My error will be 0. I hit save, and there it is. I can come in here and I can hit this plus button again, and I can add another section to it, or I can come over here and click on it, tap on it. I can edit it, duplicate it, delete it, or cancel. Let's go with duplicate first. So I'll click on duplicate, and this is the duplication. It duplicates everything. So it'll be section 1, but this time we're going to say 8,000, okay? And I'll show you where this duplicate really comes in handy. Okay, there it is. Now let's make this one read a little heavy, 20 pounds. Okay, I hit save. I'll come in there. There's my entry 3, 8,000, 20 pounds. But look, I've got error. I didn't put my error in there. So I'll click on it. I'm going to say edit. And then I'm going to come over here to my error. And then I'm going to say 20 pounds. And then I'm going to hit save. And there you go. Now, just to keep going, I'll hit duplicate one more time. And then we're going to move on to 12,000. And 0 error. Save. Alright. Duplicate. We're going to say save. Alright, there it is. I got 0 to 16. I'm going to come over here and hit the plus. I'll do it the old way, this way. 20,000. Okay, I'm going to do 20,000. This is going to weigh dead on the money. And 0 error and save. Okay? Now, I have to do a decreasing load test. Alright, here's where the duplicate comes in handy. If your scale's weighing good and doesn't have any repeatability issues, you can come over here and say duplicate. Let's say it did weigh dead on the money going back down. I'll say save, and there it is. It adds it back to the end. Okay, anytime you duplicate anything in here, it automatically adds it to the end. Okay, let's say I do 4,000 pounds. I'll say duplicate. Let's just say this one was 20 pounds heavy this time, and I will do 20 pounds I meant. Okay, now I'm not saying in any shape, form, or fashion that this is within tolerance at all. All this is just to do demonstration purposes. Okay, so the next thing I'll come in is I'll say duplicate. I'm going back to 0. Everything's good. I'll hit save. It added it back down there to 0. Everything's good. Okay, so I'm going to click back. Everything's good. My green dots are green. That lets me know the field has been filled out. You really need to pay attention to these dots, because they will identify whether if everything's been filled out or not. I hit back. Now my required fields, some of my required fields have been filled out. It tells me that it's good. It's a green dot. Alright, I'm not going to do a decreasing load test. It's the same as the increasing. It's just as left. If you've made any adjustments, you need to do it as left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to the sections. This is going to be a 5-section truck scale. So section as found. I'm going to call this sections. And it's telling me that there's no entries yet in the sections part of it. So I'll do just like I did on my increasing, decreasing load test. I'll hit the little plus sign up there at the top. and I'm going to say this is section 1, okay? Reading 1, all right? Let's say my truck weighed 38,000 pounds, okay? Now, I haven't done my repeatability on this one yet. I'm going to come back to it. So I just come over here and I'm going to click save, and look at that. There's a red dot that tells me that I'm not done filling that out, okay? So I can come over here, I can hit the plus button again. I can come over here and I can say section 2, reading, it's 38,000 pounds. Alright, I'm going to hit save. Now, I'm going to move my truck up to section 3. Alright, I can click on here, I can say duplicate. Alright, section 3, 38,000 pounds, save. Okay, oh wait a minute, that scale was actually a little off. It was 38,020. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click edit. I'm going to add 20 to it. And then I'm going to click see I've added 20 to it. You notice how I have green, green, red, red? Because the reds hadn't been filled out. Alright, now I'm going to go to section 4. Say duplicate. I'll come over here and say section 4. Okay. 00, save. Okay. Now, before I go to section 5, I'm going to back up and check my repeatability on section 1. So I'll come over here, I'll say edit, and let's say it weighed good, 38,000 pounds. Okay, my error will be 0. Alright, I'm going to hit save, and there I go. Alright, now I'm going to take the truck and I'm going to turn it around and back up on section 5. So I'll click the plus button, I'll say section 5. Reading is going to be let's do a little bit of odd so I can explain how you do the math and all that on this one. Let's do 37,980. Okay, so I hit save and I'm going to go to section 4. I'm going to say edit, and then I'm going to say this one was 38,000 and my error was 0. Notice how all my dots turn green? I'm going to hit save. Now I'm going to go to section 3. Alright, I'll hit edit. This one was 3820. I'm going to make this one 3820. Okay. Of course, my error would be 20 pounds. Okay. Save. Go up here. Edit. This one's going to weigh 38,000 even. 0. Save. Okay. Now, I need to back my truck back up and get on section 5 again. But this time, I'm going to say it weighed 20 pounds heavy. Okay. Now, my error is 40 pounds because it was 20 pounds light the first time and 20 pounds heavy the second time. The absolute value is 40. Okay. So, now what I want to do is I want to find my highest and my lowest. So my highest one was 3820 and my lowest one was 3980. Okay. So I need to keep that in mind. I've done all my section tests. They're all green. I'll go back. My minimum weight was 37,980. My maximum weight was 38,020. Okay. My range is absolute range of 40 pounds. Okay. My balance change was from the 0, from the increasing and decreasing load. I started at 0 and I ended at 0. So there was 0 balance change. Okay. Alright, everything's done there. My little green dot's good. I come back. I've done my increasing and decreasing as found. I did my section test as found. And I'm not going to do an as left because it didn't make any adjustments. The next part I have is my section inspection summary information. Okay. Now I can click on it, and it's going to be my overall of the inspection summary. All right. The device on this report in full compliance. I have a yes or no. There's other things that you have to consider. There's a lot of other state and federal guidelines. If you're doing this inspection and you're placing the state sticker on there, you have to make sure that it meets all handbook handbook, state regulations, approaches or displays, whatever it may be. So this is not just the calibration. So we're going to say yes, everything was in compliance. The tolerance applied, since we'll say this is a new one, we'll call this acceptance, okay? Action taken, I'm going to pass it, all right? The next one is going to be remarks. You have to put a remark in here. We'll just call this a new install. But this would be where you would say, scale was dirty, had to clean it out, or something that may need addressing. Maybe something that you think the scale needs for repairs or whatever, so the customer will know what he needs to do, okay? Owner operator, this is where you would type his name in. We'll call him John Doe. Tap to sign. John Doe. Okay. Let's say you accidentally did that not the way you wanted it to. You hit the trash can button and it just wipes it out. And he'll come in here and say J-O-H. I'm not right-handed, but we're going to do this anyway. John Doe. And I click done. And there it is. It saved it in there. See, my dots are green. Alright, the next one's going to be the serviceman name. That's my name in there, but it stamps your name. You can't change that. Whoever you log in as is going to be whoever's name is typed in here. So you'll need to come in here and click on it, and then you'll need to sign. Okay, I can click done, and it saves it. Alright, now everything's said and done. I'll come in here and click the back button. Everything's been filled out. There's no red dots. I just come over here and I can click submit form. Alright, what it's going to do is if you have to have internet to submit, and it's going to come up tell you submission was successful. Alright, if it doesn't give you that, then you haven't submitted. Another way to check is when you click OK, it's going to take you to your submitted forms. See how that's highlighted and it's named submitted forms? There is your submitted forms. I can click on that and it's going to bring it up. Alright, this is when you have a couple of options. You can click on the three dots and you can look at the form info, and it's going to tell you the name you named it, the location, the form type, who you were, the operating system. It's going to tell you when it was submitted and when the inspection date was actually done. Okay, I can come back. I can also print the form. Alright, and it'll bring it up. I think I have a printer in here. Yeah, I do, but I don't have that printer here. And it'll show you the pages as you can print it. You can also save it as a PDF. At this point, this is where you and your IT folks would need to get together about making sure your printer works and all that good stuff, okay? So I'm just going to hit cancel, okay? Then that's it. There you are. You can go back to your available. There it is. I click on submitted. That's the only one that I've submitted, but every form that you've ever submitted would come up in here. And the way it would sort it is the top is the most recent, and the further down you go date-wise is the further time it goes out. Older and older it gets date-wise, okay? And that's it. I appreciate your cooperation. Thank you.